on our phone, unaware of how many outs there were.
Clueless.
Or, I mean, Devers pulled up a little bit. If Devers goes into the bag, I mean, you just tag him, the inning's over. It was very bizarre. So I think we were less impressed by the steal of home and more confused by why not just get the third out and then the run doesn't matter.
Okay, so again, let's open up the phone line, 617-779-0985. And let me just tell you this quickly. And given the state of the Red Sox, we actually, unlike the 2 to 6 show, we do have a little bit of time for some grab ass. So there are certain achievements and accomplishments in baseball that I say are legit, others that I say are not legit. Like the cycle, as everyone knows, useless. Baseball bingo to me means nothing. I would argue that the no-hitter means nothing.
Doesn't mean nothing, but it's definitely not something that I'm not going to remember where I was that day. If someone throws a no-hitter, they're far more common. Yes.
Okay. Now look, there were other things. Now again, if someone throws multiple no-hitters, now I'm interested. Rafi Devers' home run streak. I found that interesting.
Sure.
Hard to do. Speaks to consistency. Have to do it every day. Hit a home run for every day for a week. Not an easy thing to do. Again, he set a Red Sox record doing it this week. So this brings me to the steal of home. And again, this is a roundabout way of getting there, Jared, but work with me. Years ago, when I was covering the team, a bunch of us went out to eat. And we were in I think it was a spring training trip. We were at a restaurant in Florida. It might have actually been a regular season
Olive
trip.
Garden. Just say Olive Garden.
Whatever it was. It might have been a regular season trip.
Yeah.
So a bunch of us are in the restaurant. And one of the members of the traveling media party decided that for dessert, he wanted to order the key lime pie. Okay. So the waitress comes over and says, or he says to the waitress or server, "Do you have key lime pie?" And she says, "Oh, yeah, we have excellent key lime pie." And he says, "Yeah, but is it the real key lime pie or is it that bogus key lime pie?" My point is this. Last night's steal of home, it's
not the real.
No, it's a bogus key lime pie. It's a bogus steal of home. That's what it is. Bogus. That's not a real steal of home.
I'm glad I'm not saying that it needs to be condemned, but I thought that you were getting to a point where you were like, the steal of home, it's so rare and we need to appreciate it. I was like, it's not a straight up steal of home.
That's a Little League steal of home. It's a double steal of home. That doesn't count.
It's not a Little League steal of home.
It doesn't count.
It's not a straight up steal of home.
Christian Yelich's thing was a Little League steal of home the other night. Christian Yelich, the catcher throws back to the mound. Yelich takes off from third. That's not a steal of home. I'm sorry. Not. You disagree. You're looking at the ceiling like you're angry.
No, I was watching at the highlight. But the Ellsbury steal of home was
legit.
The last legit one that I can recall. Who was on the mound? Andy Pettitte?
It was Andy Pettitte. Left-hander at his back to him. Like, that's a legit steal of home. It
was almost a disaster. I don't know if you remember the Ellsbury straight-up steal of home, but it looked like at the last second he couldn't decide whether to go feet first or head first, and he kind of just, fell into home plate, but ended up being a straight steal of home. But, yeah, that's something where I'm not going to say I remember where I was when I saw it, but it's certainly a memory that you remember, in terms of seeing it. Yeah, I'm not going to remember the backdoor steal of home that Jarren Duran had. No.
So I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's one of those plays that I look at and go, that's not really a steal of home. That's the bogus key lime pie. That is not the real key lime pie. I want the real thing. That is not it. So anyway, 617-779-0985. We have full phones already, which I'm pleasantly surprised by.
Wow.
Again, given the state of the Red Sox, but there are people out there, a lot of them, who still do want to talk baseball. Before we get to the callers, tell me what you texted me about today.
I was curious to get your thoughts about, we have the Ceddanne Rafael extension, we got the Brian Bayo extension, and there were talks, I guess, about there was someone else, but obviously nothing went across the finish line. And I think the way that the season has played out to this point, where you've had breakout seasons for Houck, breakout season for Cutter Crawford, I think Jarren Duran, even though his age, he's pushing 30 at this point, it's not like he's a young prospect, has made a case for himself. Alex Cora, I believe, said yesterday he's almost like the perfect player in terms of his style and the skills that he has, what he brings to the table. And then you obviously have Tristan Casas sitting there as the obvious answer, because I was posing it to you as who should be next in line for a contract extension from the Red Sox. The obvious answer is Tristan Casas still, even with the injury. So I said remove Casas, because I think if you were to poll Red Sox fans, he would overwhelmingly be the chosen answer. Outside of Casas, who should be next in line for an extension?
Tanner Houck.
You think that he's separated himself that much from Cutter Crawford?
Yes.
He hasn't.
You're going by the numbers now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're almost identical.
Yeah, I'm going by sort of the whole thing, the visuals of it, the the draft slot where you
The
took
stuff.
him. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not trying to say that.
His stuff's better. His size is better. His pedigree's better. I say pedigree meaning first round pick, 6'5".
Well, he's built like Chris Sale.
230. No, Houck I'm talking about.
Yes.
Well, he's not, but he's bigger than Sale. Thicker. Oh, yes, he is. Jared.
Tony.
Jared. He is not as skinny as Chris Sale.
He's not as skinny, but you act like he's like a muscle man or something.
He's a good-sized kid, and look at his ass.
I've seen him with no shirt on. He's no muscle man. He's not frail. He's thinner. He's on the thinner side.
He's built like a big league pitcher.
I mean, we're not talking about like John Lester here. Like you're if someone was listening right now that had never seen Tanner Houck pitch, they're picturing a John Lester type. That's not his build.
Okay, he's 27. He's going to get thicker.
No, what are you talking about?
He is.
What guy besides Jared Carrabis have you seen put on 80 pounds of muscle mass in their late 20s?
Okay, I was going to say I've seen you balloon up.
Yeah, well, that's,
I don't think it's muscle mass.
You think I'm fat?
I think you've porked up a little. If you want to know the truth, I think you've porked up a little. But Houck is the answer. So this relates to a bigger question. Mm-hmm. The guys they've signed, and you say there are other people they talked to that didn't get it across the finish line. Mm-hmm. Casas is one. I don't know if they've really engaged with Houck. It doesn't feel like it.
I think they did. But it was before the season started, so now it's, today's price wasn't yesterday's price.
So here's what concerned me. Everybody's all for signing the kids in the system. Okay, they didn't have to do it with Rafaela. It was premature, but whatever. It's fine. I'm okay with it. It's not like it's the kind of contract that's going to break them. But here's the part that concerns me. The deals they've done thus far have been easy deals. Houck is now going to be hard.
Sure.
Houck has now ventured into that territory where he bet on himself, and now he's winning. So if you want to sign Tanner Houck, I think you're going to have to give him a lot more than you gave Brian Bale. And I know that he's older. Okay, I know Houck is older. He's not a free agent until 2027, I think it is.
Yeah.
So you've got time there. Casas clearly isn't just going to take a deal for the sake of taking a deal. You're not going to have a lot of Garrett Whitlocks out there. So I do have concerns about whether they are willing to, for lack of a better description, to give an Austin Riley contract to someone like Casas, or name me a pitcher out there who at a young age got some sort of big deal. And I'm not saying Houck is a perfect comp because of his age, but if I'm Houck, I'm not signing for $50 million. I'm not. I want more.
Yeah. It's also just tough to say. Like, I think it's tougher in the Red Sox position too, because you're talking about 10 starts. 10 starts changes the entire the sample of what it was before, and we've had this conversation. There are noticeable changes. There are differences that were made that you can point to. It's quantifiable, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The reasons why Tanner Houck is better this year than he ever has been, and it's hard to put a number on that after 10 starts. I agree with you. If I'm Tanner Houck, I'm sitting there and saying, I'm not signing anything right now. Like, what if I continue to do this? What if I do this because I've made these changes? I can do this for the next 2 years. What does that price look like? Well, we'll find out if he wants to bet on himself year after year until he gets a free agency.
Okay, so let me ask you a very simple question. And again, you, Jared Carrabis, not the Red Sox, and take away all the math and the 10 starts and everything else. Watching Tanner Houck in the early part of this season, do you think it's legit?
Yes. Do
you think it's permanent? I understand it's hard.
At least for for the next 3-4 years. Yeah, like I don't know. Like once he gets to like 32, 33, am I betting on it? Like, there's some of these guys that are because he's now the type where he's going to pitch into the 7th inning, which is very rare these days, but he's doing it. He's at least giving you 6. And when he gives you 6, he's oftentimes coming out for the 7th. He may not record an out once he gets out there, but he's often taking the mound in the 7th inning.
Pitching into the 7th.
Which is a rarity. I don't know how that ages for him once he gets to 32, 33, but for ages 27 through 31, I feel pretty good about Tanner Houck being something like, maybe he's obviously not going to be a sub-2 guy, but could he be a 3 or under? Yeah, I kind of feel that way, yeah.
Let's say Tanner Houck wants 6 years and $100 million. You giving it to him?
What's the math on that?
That is $17 million a year.
I mean,
Jared.
You're saying, I mean,
Jared.
You're doing that?
Yes.
Not even thinking about it.
No, not even thinking about it. $17 million a year now for a good pitcher who's a number 2 starter at worst.
But you're doing that after 10 starts.
Yeah, I am.
So you really believe in it?
I do. And I'll tell you why I believe in it.
I do too, but what is that? What age seasons does that take him to?
Okay, that takes him to, what is he, 27 now? Takes him to 33.
33? Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'd do it.
Could he be part of a championship team 4 years down the road?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is my point.
Yeah.
And $17 million is really not that much. And on top of it, I do think that sometimes with pitchers, the command can come late. It can come late. It happened that way with Sandy Koufax, Nolan Ryan. Like, I'm throwing Hall of Famers at you now. Pedro took a little while. You know, he was in his early to mid 20s, like really mid 20s when it started to click. But you get the idea. Sometimes the guys with the great movement in particular and good stuff really have trouble harnessing it. And then all of a sudden they just simplify the delivery and figure it out. And they realize, I don't have to live on the corners. I just got to get it in the strike zone because my stuff moves so freaking much. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And I think Houck, the light has gone on. I do. I believe that. I might be wrong. I'm not telling you I know for sure, but I do believe he has gotten there. In any case, many of you on the line, which I appreciate, we will get to your phone calls immediately when we return. Jared Carrabis in studio. It's a full 1 hour show tonight on the Baseball Hour. think he's got the stuff to be good. Maybe not great, but good. I don't want average, and right now he's average.
He's better than average.
Well, average ERA in baseball is 3.96. He's got 3.96.
There you go.
So I think that's average.
That's after a couple of outings after getting hurt, though. Like, I feel like he's not... Before he went on the injured list, he was pitching much better than this.
Okay, so you might be right.
Yeah, we're a couple starts off the injured list.
Yeah, we got to give him more time. I agree. I don't feel as good about him as I do about Houck, though. Robert and Newton. Robert, go ahead.
Hey, so aside from the guys you've already mentioned, one guy I've been intrigued by is Abreu. Just think he's done a lot of impressive stuff this year. Just all aspects of the game. Just curious if you guys had any comps for what kind of player he might turn out to be. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, it's a good question, Jared. Who do you compare Abreu to?
Trot Nixon.
I was going to say
Venezuelan Trot Nixon.
I know the answer to this.
Yeah. He is. It's an interesting name to bring up in terms of extension talk, but that's another guy where I know the Red Sox were excited about him before, like when he was with the Astros organization. I think they wanted him before he ended up with Houston. And so this is a guy that they've kind of identified as, special talent, whatever. It's not just a player that they stumbled upon in the Christian Vasquez deal. And I've enjoyed watching him play a lot this year. I think I don't know what adjective would you use to describe the defense? Because I think clunky is harsh because it's not clunky. It's not smooth. It's not JD Drew, but it's not an abomination. It's not bad. It's not smooth either. But it's Trot Nixon. It's like he's gonna get there. He's gonna get to the ball. He's gonna make the play. It may not always look pretty, but he's gonna make the play and he's gonna hit. And that to me is Trot Nixon, just playing hard, showing passion, and it doesn't look pretty, but it gets the job done.
Can you say capable?
Yeah.
Is that too boring? He's a capable defender. He's fine.
Yeah.
Like, do I think he's a superstar? No, defensively. But you add the whole package together, he's a everyday big league ball player.
Yes.
And there aren't a lot of those. I mean, don't take that for granted. That's, you say Alex Verdugo is an everyday big league ball player. And at the end of the day, you say you can get rid of him. I think this kid's better than Verdugo, though. Kyle in Medford. Kyle, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I just wanted to complain about the ownership group a little bit. I'm 29. I got YouTube TV. I don't know if this has been said before, but pretty much everyone I know has YouTube TV. And I can't even physically watch the Red Sox, even if I wanted to, because it's not on the streaming service. And I feel like they're missing out on a whole, generation of, potential baseball fans because they're restricting the access to these streaming services. And just kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. Jared, does that bug you?
Yeah, it does. It doesn't affect me personally because I'm a psychopath and I still have cable because I got the 9 TVs and I need the cable boxes.
Me too. I have cable too.
Yeah, but I think we're in the minority there, which, I didn't realize until much recently that, a lot of people don't have cable anymore. And it goes beyond just, they should be on YouTube TV. It should be more accessible. Now you're talking about like the blackouts in your own region, that type of stuff. And the game that they just had on Roku, I feel like I'm pretty up to speed on technology. I feel like, I'm the one that's explaining to my parents how to use stuff. When they said on Saturday, hey, tomorrow we don't have the game, it's on Roku. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, do I need a Roku stick? Like they're for a sport that needs people to pay attention and lock in, and they're trying to get new viewers and younger viewers. If you're making someone like me in their mid-30s feel like, man, this is how am I going to even watch the game tomorrow? Like it's the blackouts, and it's how they're just kind of like now they're passing out all these games to all these other streaming services. Where in the beginning, I bought it. I was like, if you're going to put MLB games on YouTube, then I buy your theory that we're trying to get our product in front of the younger audience because they are on YouTube. I pay for YouTube Premium. I am on YouTube all the time. Most of the content that I consume these days is on YouTube. So you're putting MLB in front of those people that are on YouTube. But then you start putting it on Apple TV and Roku and Peacock, and it's like, all right, now you're doing it for the money, which is fine, but just say that. Don't say that you're trying to get your product in front of the younger audience because, now it's spread out all over the place. YouTube TV was fine. It's like That's where a younger audience is. I believe you. But now all these other places, it's like you're just doing it for the money.
Well, and I think there were people in baseball. Look, I didn't watch the game on Roku. I don't have Roku. I didn't feel the need to get it. It's a dangerous game for the Red Sox to play at the moment. Not that
it's an app and it's free, but I didn't know that at the time.
Okay, no, and I didn't either. And again, my understanding is this is a national package that replaced Peacock, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I think the fee, from what I read, that they got from Roku is half of what they got from Peacock.
Correct.
And it's chump change.
Yes.
It's like $10 million.
Yeah, it's nothing. It was a drop in the bucket to me.
So what's the point? Like, they're not even making money off it, Jared.
No.
Is my point. You know, 30 teams, $10 million. What's that, $300,000 a piece?
Right.
What are they going to do with that?
Buy
Buy some new rosin bags? No, seriously, they're not making any money off of that. It's asinine. $300,000 a team for a $10 million package? It's stupid.
I agree with you.
To go on Roku? Like, who the hell's going to watch that?
You're right, Tony. You're right.
Anyway, Kevin Majori's got your headlines here. If you're on the line, sit tight. We'll get back to you. And because, again, I said earlier, there was something cool, kind of entertaining, that happened with the Red Sox this week. And I want to ask Jared about it because if I know Jared, he was covering himself in olive oil and butter over this story. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Sports Hub headlines. What's up?
Here's a drive, sucked the other way to left field deep. Palacios back. It is gone! Rafi Devers has done it. He has set a new Red Sox record by homering in 6 consecutive games. He goes oppo against Taj Bradley. Goodness gracious, he is some kind of hot.
History. We're looking at Red Sox history. This has never happened.
So believe it or not, we haven't had a chance to play that for you yet. Last night was a Celtics pregame show. It was a special show that we did here on 98.5. The Celtics Hour, Matt McCarthy, Alex Barth leading into Joe Murray and then Celtics pregame. We did not do a baseball hour last night, so I didn't get to play that. So we play it tonight. Rafi Devers setting a record, homered in 6 straight games. Cool or not cool, Jared?
I think that's pretty cool, yeah. Yeah. I think it's not cool that he broke Bobby Dahlbeck's record. It's my favorite player on the team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You set me up for this?
No, I remember when we had that little thing in 2021, you wanted Rizzo, and I was like, no, Bobby Dahlbeck's the guy. He was the guy in 2021, but,
When they should have traded him.
No.
So Jimmy Stewart, the Bobby Dahlbeck thing from the other night. Jared, I don't know if you heard this or not. And this is like one of those things where sort of, as you're reading it, you say, what? So anyway, when talking, at the time Devers had homered in 5 straight games. This was on the baseball hour the other night. Homered in 5 straight, tying a record set by Bobby Dahlbeck. Talk about taking the air out of the balloon. Holy crap. I can't even say that with a straight face. Breaking a record or tying a record held by Bobby Dahlbeck. That's funny. That is funny. Holy crap. He goes for 6 in a row tonight. Then he'd have it all by himself. So again, it's just not the kind of sentence you would ever expect to say or read.
If this were Section 10, you would be suspended so fast right now.
Seriously, not the kind of sentence.
Suspended.
Seriously. Like, how about that sentence? Breaking a record held by Bobby Dahlbeck.
The part that's sad is that he did it in 2020, so no one cared. It was a fake season, and if you recall, when Bobby Dahlbeck hit his 5th straight home run, they were doing a preview ad or whatever for Dining Playbook. So like the ball's sailing over the fence, and the woman from Dining Playbook is talking about her like
Jenny Johnson.
Yeah, she was talking about some drink and I was like, come on, like it's Bobby's moment. So there's no fans. The call was terrible. Bob deserves so much better than
So
that.
I had no recollection of it whatsoever. I saw the name and I said, you got to be kidding
It
me.
was in Tampa. It was an unforgettable moment for me.
Talk about a worthless record. Holy crap,
No.
Bobby Dahlbeck. Wow.
Wrong.
Now, can I just tell you quickly, the reason why the record interested me?
Why?
Because I remember when Mattingly homered in 8 in a row. I remembered that back in the late 80s.
Did Griffey do that too? Yeah.
He did. I think it might have been 7 for Griffey.
Tino Martinez?
So there are a bunch of guys who did. Jim Thome, I think, did it 7 games in a row.
Trout did it.
Some steroid guys there, too.
Oh.
Listen, but Don Mattingly, you'd have liked Mattingly, Jared.
That stash?
You'd have liked
He can still pick it.
You'd have liked the ball. He was a great fielder.
He still is.
You'd have liked the player.
Yeah.
You'd have liked Mattingly as a player. If he didn't have a bad back, I mean, a lot of people think he was Hall of Fame caliber. I don't know. It's close, but he was a great guy to watch. He was a great fielder. Batting champion. He could hit, doubles power, home runs. Yankee Stadium was perfect for him. And, a good guy by all accounts. He was a fun guy to watch hit. He was. Anyway, Martin in Texas. Martin, what do you got?
Hey, guys, I just wanted to say that if they did try to tag Rafi out last night, but Duran made it to home before they tagged him, he still would have scored even though the inning would have ended. I'm not sure many people know that from the rule book, but I just wanted to get you guys' take on if they like Rafaela and Abreu and Duran as their outfielders, who out of those 3 and Anthony are they going to get rid of to fix an area of need or to get a star player that we so desperately need behind or in front of Devers in the lineup?
Okay, so you know what? That's an interesting thing, Jared. Like you look at some of the young guys they have, and I'll tell you what. This actually leads to another topic that I wanted to bring up with you.
Yeah.
So, which is who are the real prospects that you want to keep? Who are the fake ones that you want to trade?
Sure.
Okay, I always say it's like the most important job in the organization. If you look at it,
You've been talking about this for years.
yeah, really, you have to know which
Identifying the talent.
right. You gotta identify the right ones.
Who's a guy?
Right? Who is and who isn't, and the Braves are good at this.
The Red Sox are not.
So who are the guys you keep, and then who are the guys you peddle off at other organizations? So, for example, let's just use an easy example: Michael Kopech.
Yeah.
Highly regarded prospect when he was in the Red Sox system. They traded him in the Chris Sale deal. Great move. Now, again, there might have been some injuries in there, what have you, but you get the idea. And I would say Yohan Moncada has never really fully panned out.
Definitely hasn't.
Okay, so it's identifying those guys that you say, what's he going to be? We don't know. As opposed to the guy like, no, we got to hold on to this one. This kid's special. So they held on to Mookie Betts. They held on to Rafi Devers. They held on to Xander Bogaerts. Jackie Bradley, which was maybe a hit, maybe it wasn't, but overall he was a big league player. So it's not like they totally got that one wrong. But you get the idea. Roman Anthony.
Yes.
Real thing.
Yep.
Marcelo Meyer.
Yep.
Kyle Teal.
Yes.
Nick York.
He's blocked.
What do you mean he's blocked?
Where are you going to put him?
Nick York?
Yeah.
Okay, but independent of that. You mean because you got Von Grissom?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and even still, it's like you're locked in with the Trevor Story contract. So if Marcelo Meyer's a guy, like that's your middle infield. Even like I don't even think that. I'm still on the fence about Von Grissom being a future piece.
Okay, so I was just going to say Von Grissom. Would you trade him?
I'd have to know what the return was. I'm not just giving him away. I think that he's still going to be a capable big leaguer, but is he untouchable? No.
Okay, so but then play the game on Nick York. Pretend he's not blocked.
Yeah.
Nick York.
I believe in the player. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, but like you've always been a Nick York hater, and I don't know why.
Because I saw him play in spring training, and I was wholly unimpressed.
It's spring training.
Doesn't matter.
That's crazy.
I'm talking about the athleticism. And
first impressions are everything. Yeah. So with Nick York, I think that was a guy that I feel like this was the Blaze Jordan draft where they took Nick York in the first round because they wanted to sign him for underslot so that they could save that money to get Blaze Jordan because he was just going to, I forget where he was committed to, Mississippi maybe or something
like that.
So they drafted Blaze to be able to save money on the York pick and then spend it on Blaze so that they would get both the players. Like you could have flip-flopped him. So people like look at Nick York as, oh, that's not a true first-round pick. And you're right. Like he's not, but he's still a good player. And I think that he could be a very good big league player someday. Okay. I'm not punting on Nick York.
Blaze Jordan.
Blaze, so right, he just broke his finger. He was riding like a 17-game hitting streak before that. We know he has crazy pop, but where's he fit? Unless you make Rafi Devers the DH, it's like, well, you're going to put him at third base. Like, where does Blaze Jordan fit? So if there were a spot for him, yeah. Like, yes. Like, that's a prospect that I'm excited about.
You like too many of them.
No.
Yes, you do.
No. That's not true.
Yes, you do.
No. That was at 4?
Okay, but again, you've said yes on everybody.
Well, you're talking about the top prospects in the system.
Well, they're not all going to make it.
No, they're
not.
not.
Do you want me to ask you about the ones that suck?
They're not all going to be hits. No.
So I got to ask you about the best ones. Well, they're not all going to make it.
My answer about Blaze Jordan was that I don't know that he's going to have a spot up here.
I mean, Jose Iglesias was a highly regarded prospect when the Red Sox had him. They traded his ass because he couldn't hit, and they were right. So this is my point. You got to play the game. Decide which ones are the ones that are going to hurt you, which ones aren't. Now, there's a reason I'm asking you the questions about these guys who are at AA because before the show you told me what?
I went to Portland last night.
Okay, and what did you tell me about Portland as a whole and the specific players that you're talking about?
Very exciting players. And they're all it's a tight-knit group. And one of the things, so we interviewed them all individually and then kind of asked them questions based on everyone else's responses.
And who's we?
Section 10.
Okay.
So one of the questions that I asked, well, Marcelo Meyer specifically, I said, what are you working on down here? And he spoke about, we're learning how to win. And I loved that because you talk about first round, top 100 prospects. You're thinking these guys are down here to me. How can I get promoted? How can I get to the big leagues? And Meyer was like, we are learning how to win together because he's looking over here seeing Teal. He's looking over here seeing Roman Anthony. It's like, hey, we're going to go to the big leagues together. Like, we're going to be playing baseball together for a long time. And they were talking about how they go to Fenway together. And they're like, we'll just go to the games, or we'll go there when it's empty and just sit there and look around because we know we're going to be here together someday. And I was like, I effing love that. Because I wouldn't have blamed them for saying, yeah, I'm working on my sprint speed and I'm working on my power and I'm looking at the exit velocity and the launch angle because I'm trying to hit more homers and doubles and blah, 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 blah. But they talked about how they were a unit already and how they're learning how to win together. Loved it.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at then, Jared. Like, when I say looking at, the AA team is it.
Yeah.
Like, the AA team is it. Mm-hmm. What they have going on there, those guys in particular, like, this is the Red Sox plan. It's going to be that group. Maybe they even bring them up sort of collectively at once.
Oh, I love that.
Marcelo Myers hitting 305 with an 834 OPS. That's good. Mm-hmm. Kyle Teal's hitting 274 with an 804 OPS. That's good. Mm-hmm. Okay, Roman Anthony's a little lower, 232, 728.
He's been better in May, though.
He's also the youngest of the group, correct?
Yep. He's 20.
Okay, so, but just to give people an idea, I said earlier, like, I needed a second team to watch. Mm-hmm. If you're a Red Sox fan, that's your team.
Tune into the Sea Dogs.
Okay, that's the one, though.
Correct.
So those are the guys, that whole team is the one you should watch.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the three big guys, but there are other guys on that team that might have some value, correct?
Blaze Jordan is there. Nick York is there.
Don't answer. Don't say it yet.
Okay.
Those guys identified a pitcher on the staff that they say is the real deal.
Correct.
Okay, we'll tell you who that is when we come back and wrap it up on the baseball hour. And we'll get to your calls, too.
Stay tuned for more of the baseball hour on the Sports Hub.
You guys like what?
He was in indie ball last year. And the way that I asked the question to these guys, I was like, I feel like you guys are getting a lot of attention. The Roman Anthonys, the Marcelo Meyers, the Kyle Teals of the world. Like, who's the guy on this team specifically, AA, that is immensely talented, that is getting no attention, that should be? They all said Penrod. This dude throws 97, left-handed pitcher. 98.5 The Sports Hub local geek, Tyler Milliken, actually was the first person to say his name to me. Somewhat recently, he came out of nowhere, and he's rising the ranks a little bit. And I was poking around, asking some of the behind-the-scenes people that are there every day with the Sea Dogs. And I was like, what's the deal with this Penrod guy? And they were like, he's the real deal. And they were calling him the best pitcher on the staff. I don't know if that's, it's not like I sit down and watch Sea Dogs games all the time. I don't know if that's like the, I don't even know what the comparison would be. But he got a lot of love from a lot of the guys down there.
Out of indie ball.
Out of indie ball, yeah. Out of indie ball, came out of nowhere and entered the organization and is doing really well. Yeah.
Okay, so can I read you his numbers real quick?
Please. 6
games started at AA, and again, AA is a huge league. AA is the legit prospect league. You excel at AA, then all of a sudden, here you go. You're a potential big leaguer. 6 starts, 3-0, 2.10. 30 innings, so that's 5 innings a start. 18 hits, excellent. 8 runs, only 7 earned. Excellent. Again, ERA is 2.10. 12 walks in 30 innings, which if I did quickly over the top of my head, times that, multiply 12 by 9 is what? 108 divided by 30 is 3.1 or 2 walks per 9. Not bad. 44 strikeouts in 30 innings. Excellent.
Like that a lot.
173 average against. The whip, 1.00. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Ground out to air out, basically even. You know what the problem is, Jared?
What's the problem, Tony?
He's 26.
So what?
20 effing 6.
You'll find a reason to hate anything. You just read this dude's stats and were like, this guy is awesome. This is excellent. You know what? He's too old. He's been able to legally drink for half a decade. And you're like, put this guy in a retirement home. Are the numbers good, Tony? Yep.
So you know what the problem is, Jimmy Stewart, when you got a 26-year-old at AA and he's doing well?
He's a 26-year-old at AA. He should be in the majors.
He's competing against kids who are 20.
Well, he was overlooked. What does that mean?
Okay.
You act like they're playing on a smaller diamond down there, and you have invalid points.
4A player.
Believe in Penrod.
All right, Jared, we're at the conclusion of another segment or a show, weekly visit here at the Baseball Hour.
Sure.
So it's time for you to go now.
Wow, sad times.
I'm going to go with you. Joe Murray will be joining us shortly. He's got the whole night tonight, Jimmy, right?
Whole show tonight.
Joe hasn't had a lot of these
Skaz
lately.
and Joe Murray green teaming like you read about tonight.
So Joe says he's coming in hot because he's mad at me and Felger about the Celtics.